War! War. War is a universal concept that spans throughout the history of this very planet. And it comes in a variety of different conflicts such as civil, cold, drugs, and even 2 world wars. But today, we are going to focus on a specific war that changed the world as we know it. A war that impacted the lives of many and shaped the future for years to come. I'm of course talking about the one, the only console war of the 90s between Sega and Nintendo.
Well, that took a turn.
So yeah, the console war, that was a time. During in the 90s, Nintendo was riding high after systematically reviving the video game market thanks to the help of the NES and the newly released Super Nintendo. But that all changed. From out of the blue came a company that challenged their reign. This contender went by the name Sega! And when they hit the market with the Genesis, they pulled out all the stops. They were aggressive, they were trendy, and most importantly, they had a character that took the world by storm. And of course, I'm talking about the one and only Michael Jackson. And oh yeah, there's this other guy too. Yeah, he was cool. I think his name was Bubsy. But yeah, this started a feud between the two, and back in the day, it was pretty fun and simple. It all just boiled down to whether you were Team Nintendo or Team Sega. Mario or Sonic. Red versus blue. Nothing more, nothing less. Unlike today's console wars, where we get to see companies try to become the Disney of video games, that makes me concerned.
But instead of letting the dread of what's possibly to come set in, let's focus our attention to something other than that. That's right, we're going to talk about anime!
J-Rock! Yeah!
Garuga Mesh!
Oh yeah!
I love anime!
Yeah! And manga!
Every day we stray further from God!
Today we're talking about World War Blue, a 3-episode anime based off of a webcomic that reimagines the 90s console war as a fantasy epic. With characters based off of different franchises with superpowers, this is probably one of the most insane and interesting ideas I have heard of. Notice how I said ideas.
But now we can get into the thick of things, so let's press start to play as we take a look at World War Blue.
So our story takes place in the land of Consume, where there's an internal war between the Nintendo Empire and the Kingdom of Segawa. Look, I never said anything about subtlety. However, it seems as though the Kingdom of Segawa are on the losing end against the might of General Marcus and his forces. With everything backed into a corner, their only hope for success arrives in the form of a young blue-haired boy named Gear, who possesses the power of sonic speed, so you know, he's obviously based on Rystar. Now with their newest hero, the Segawa army stands proud knowing that they will be able to turn the tides against the Nintendo Empire and take back the land of Consume themselves. This will be their greatest strive yet, and will lead them to great victory!
This is gonna go great.
Like I said before, every named character in this anime is based off either a character or a franchise that were out and around in the 90s, making it kind of fun to figure out who's who. I mean, we got representations of Sonic, Mario, Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, Tetris, Columns. Yeah, that's a weird pick. And let's not forget that they put in my boy, the actual factual Goro Majima from the Yakuza franchise, for real though?
Okay, so I made that last one up, but I will will that shit into existence even if it kills me.
And the video game references also extend to the world building, like how every character's powers derive from different genres, a la action, puzzle, and shmup. They also talk about the history of this world, which goes over the fantasized version of the video game crash of the 80s. And I gotta say, the little nods and the references to different video games is definitely the best part about this anime. And with that being said, God is this anime boring. For a concept like video game companies locked into feudal battle with magic powers, There sure is a lot of standing around and talking. About 80% of this 3-episode run is dedicated to characters just standing around and discussing battle plans, talking about the world, or the power system, or even dead friends. And only about, 5% are actual fight scenes, and only one of them you can actually define as a fight. Meanwhile, the rest are just Sonic Boy going in bum rush mode, and either winning instantly, or whiffing it and giving up. I said before that this anime's presence was an insane and interesting idea, but the execution wasn't successful as it could have been. I mean, the main villain Marcus only shows up in the beginning, and never again throughout the entirety of this anime. Who knows, maybe it's because of its length. This anime only got 3 episodes, and it felt like there was gonna be more that was going to happen, and I know a little bit about the manga that there's gonna be more. Like the scene where the representation of all the first 150 Pokemon get gassed to death! What the fuck?!
Oh, but don't worry, they may not have had time to add fight scenes, but they did have the time and effort to add this!
He's the one. This is the kind of edge we need to seize victory.
You know my mom watches my stuff. Hi, Mom.
Well, couldn't delay this for long. I knew talking about anime would lead me here. I knew this would come up eventually. It's time to talk about fan service. Now, I wish I could tell you that fan service is exactly what it sounds like. Little nods or references to certain events that can also lead up to big moments. Like the scene at Avengers Endgame where everyone comes back for the final fight.
Avengers!
But in this case, that would be a big fat lie because the truth is, fan service is a point in the story where hot women are doing something stimulating for the pleasure of the audience. Or in layman's terms,
It's all porn!
Yep, that's kind of the gist of it. It's an excuse for the story to get cheap views. Whether it's the beach episode, panty shots, or just straight up nudity, the showrunners are gonna grab some attention spans with a capital TNA. And all I can say about that is there's a time and a place for that, and an anime about 90s video game consoles is neither the time nor the place. I mean, never in my lifetime did I want to see the personified version of Tetris do... What's a good way to dance around this without YouTube having a fuss? He likes to grapple. He likes to do the command grab. On breasts.
But now let's turn our focus to something that I do really want to talk about. And that's the fact that the dub team had a really fun time making this.
This anime was distributed in the West by Media Blasters, a company from the early days of the anime dub scene that is still kicking for some reason, and no one knows why or how. My personal guess is that they run entirely on boobs, black magic, and the purest form of spite. So yeah, they distributed this anime, but that's not the only thing that was interesting. For you see, during my research, I learned that one of the scriptwriters was Christopher Niozzi, I hope I'm saying that right, who I know personally back in the day as Kerbifer. He was the guy who did the old Brawl Taunts videos back on Newgrounds, and was also the guy responsible for the legendary video... Hey, if you want to know why I like this wooden puppet boy, this is where it started. I bring all this up because 1, I can't believe Media Blasters is still around, and 2, it's because this dub takes the video game references and turns it up to 11. I mean, you'll know what you're getting yourself into by the first spoken lines alone.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast, too fast, too fast, too fast, too faster.
And oh, let's not forget that some of the voice cast in this is insane. Like the aforementioned Chris Niozzi as the Link stand-in, but then we have Kira Buckland, who went on to voice 2B and Jolene Cujo of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Wai Chang, who does a bunch of anime song covers, is also the Tetris guy. I don't want to talk about the Tetris guy anymore. Then we got Brittany Latta, Erica Schroeder, Clifford Chapin, the list goes on. Oh, but the cherry on top is that they got Mike Pollock, the voice of Dr. Eggman himself, to play both Mario and Luigi. This is some meta shit right here, I'm not gonna lie. In the end, World War Blue is a very okay anime with a lot of interesting things around it, which to me kind of sucks. I mean, this could have been the most surrealist experience I've ever got from an anime. It has potential, but either because of its short run or the lack of anything happening besides talking and stuff you can't really show to your parents, who knows, maybe the manga is better, but even then I still say you should check it out, if anything for the English dub, because it's just a silly little romp of video game pop culture references, and what's not to like about that?
And that's all I got for this video. And if you have any other obscure weird anime, cartoon, whatever, let me know down in the comments below. I'd like to check it out, and maybe it might be in a future episode, who knows? Who knows? But until then, I'm DavKav. I hope you have a nice day, and,
Ja!